Hey there, I'm Douglas from Draftbit. In this video, we're going to be exploring the headings component. This is a versatile set of pre-styled header elements like H1, H2, and more, designed to bring structure and hierarchy to your app's text content. You might be wondering, why use the headings component instead of the regular text component? Well, the main advantage is that the heading comes with built-in default styles tailored for your headers. This saves time when you want consistent, bold, distinct text styles for your titles, subtitles, section headers inside your application. With headings, there's no need to manually configure typography settings each time you need a title. You can just pick the right heading and be able to proceed. Let's go ahead and see how we can add the headings. Let's head over to our component picker, and then for this, in your search, just type H. And then you'll see H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. Those are the headings. Let's add all of them. We now have our headings on our screen, and let's go through the differences of these headings. So first up, we have H1. This is the primary header, the most important heading, typically used for the main title page or the main screen. It's usually placed at the top and should represent the key focus of the content, such as welcome to our shop or product listings. And you can see it's very big and it's very bold. Then up next, we have the H2 secondary header. A secondary level header is used to break down content into major sections. It's less prominent than the H1, but it's still important. So this will be for pages like bestseller or featured products in an e-commerce application. Then up next, we have the H3. So this is what we call a tertiary header. This is used for subsections under the H2. It's great for further breaking down categories. Like if you have a category called electronics and you want to break this down into like laptops or mobile phones, this will be a perfect way to do it. Here is the H3, here is the H2, and here is the H1. Then up next, we have the H4. So this is the H4, and this is what we call a quaternary header. H4 is often used for more detailed breakdown. So I'm thinking of this like in an e-commerce app setting where you have men's apparel, and under the clothing category or t-shirt, under men's apparel, you have maybe females apparel. We can be further breaking it down into more details. Then up next, we have the H5. This is the fifth level header. H5 is smaller and used for specific details that don't require much emphasis, such as size options or product colors. So maybe small, medium, large. This is where you use the H5 header. So these are not maybe rules that we're telling you to use it for this specific thing, but in most applications, it follows this kind of design. Then we have the last one, the H6. This is called the sixth level header. This is the smallest heading, often used for least prominent details such as product reviews or warranty information. So choosing the right heading helps create a clear structure for your application and makes it easier for your users to understand your content. It also aids in navigation, especially for screen readers, by maintaining a logical flow. So now that we've talked about the difference of these headings, let's head over to the Style tab. So head over to the H1, then we go to Styles and see what kind of styles that we get. So when you select any heading, you'll notice that several of these styles are already preset for you. We didn't set the size, we didn't set the color, so these were preset for us. So the H1 has some size and font weight that it needs to follow for it to be considered an H1. So it needs to be of size 32 and the font needs to be bold. So yeah, we can come and change this if we want, but it will no longer be consistent with the design. Then after customizing the styles, let's jump into the config section. And here we have component name. This property allows you to give your heading a unique identifier. This is useful if you want to reference the component later for actions or data binding purposes. Then up next, we have selectable. This property lets you determine whether users can select or interact with the heading. By default, it's off, and you can see I'm trying to copy this heading, but I'm not able to. So if we enable selectable, now I'm able to select this. And this is useful if you want users to be able to copy the text or perform other actions with the text. Then up next, we have accessibility label. This property is important for improving accessibility in your app. It lets you assign a label that can be read by screen readers. For example, your H1 heading is used for a specific section. You can set an accessibility label like electronic sections so that visually impaired users will know what the heading represents. Then let's move on to the most important part, the data tab. And this is where we can enter the text that we want to be represented in our heading. So for example, I can say, welcome to my shop. And this is what we call static text. So you add the static text directly in the input text field. This is simple text that doesn't change. For example, you might use it for titles, descriptions that remain the same, like welcome to our shop. So this is not going to be dynamic data that you need to change. And if we have dynamic data that we need to change, we use what is called a variable. And to create a variable in Draftbit, we just have these double curly braces, and whatever we enter in the middle becomes a variable. So you see, we entered name, and name became a variable. So now we have dynamic text that we can link to whatever we want. But for now, I'm just going to call it shop. And these static texts or variables can apply to all these headings. So if we go over to H2, we notice that in data, we have the text field again. So we can apply what we did to H1, we can apply it to H2 up to H6. And that's a wrap for our overview of the heading component in Draftbit. We've learned how to add different heading levels from H1 to H6, customize their styles, configure them using the config tab, and use static and dynamic text in the data tab. Remember, choosing the right heading and customizing it can help improve your app's readability and design. I hope this video helped you, and as always, happy building, and I'll see you in the next video.